Okay, guys, welcome to this Maquette course. During the course, we're going to learn how to design an app using Maquette, and we're going to start right away, actually. So here we have this model of a house that is actually my house. I made it in Maquette, and I'm going to use it as a base. So we design in context is usually very important. So you have access to this model in Maquette in case you want to use it. So yeah, let's dive in. So the first thing is that I added a few files that I created first. So what I'm doing here, this is pretty much the information architecture of the app that we are going to create. We are going to create a cooking app in AR. And this is pretty much the structure of the app. So this is a landing page, and then you go to login. Then if you don't have an account, you will have to sign up, login fail and the login loop. Then once you can log in, then you go to the proper app, that is this one here. The main thing is that you will search for a recipe. You also have a favorite list and the featured recipes from the platform. Then you have a settings page. So once you find the recipe, you have like the results, filters, and this is the recipe itself. So as you can see, one of the main important things is the ingredient list, the preparation. Then you go to the preparation, and it's pretty much like a loop of the different steps of the app or every of the cooking steps. So yeah, this is the information that I have, and this is the the usual information you usually have when you're creating an app from scratch. So yeah, let's go into it. So the first thing in every AR app is to define the space. So we have to define where the app's going to be sitting. And since this is a cooking app, we're going to be doing this in the kitchen. So let's do here. I usually start from the logo, maybe because I'm a visual designer. So yeah, let's start from the logo. So let's compose a little 3D logo here. So the first thing is I got this icon. So I created this icon in Illustrator, and I just like put it on the image file on Maquette, and I have it here, so I can now use it in 3D, which is pretty good. So let's create a little background for that thing. Something like that should be fine. Something like this. Oh, by the way, as you can see, as I make this bigger, it starts changing from a circle into a square with rounded borders. That is because this is actually square with rounded borders with a radius, so you can change the radius here. If you want just a perfect circle, I just recommend you just to put like a high number here. Boom. And then it doesn't matter how much you make it bigger, it will always be a cylinder. Okay, so we're gonna do something like this. Is okay. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I have my background there, and I'm gonna put the logo. The way I did it, by the way, when I make this close to another surface, I get this little ray there. So when I get the ray, I can now press this magnet button, and it just like will snap to the surface, which is extremely useful, and you will be using this all the time. All right, so I have that there on the same surface, but since this is 3D, I usually like to, give it a little bit of depth. The way I did this, by the way, is I just touch the icon itself. So when I touch it, I'm gonna press this button here, the B button. As you can see, it changes when I touch it. So I'm going to press it, and now I get access to the gimbal. So with this gimbal, I can move it around the icon in the three axes. So I'm going to use this axis here, and I'm going to do something like that. And now it's not much, but you have, you know, a little bit of depth. All right. Another thing that I usually do when I put something like this in with depth, I usually do this. I'm gonna clone it, and the way I clone it, by the way, is instead of pulling with the grip button, I'm gonna pull with the trigger button. So I'm gonna do that, something like this. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna change the color of that thing to black, something like that. And now we can change the alpha a little bit. So it's kind of like a nice shadow. And that actually usually adds a lot of value. Yeah, that is pretty good. You can actually just like put it there. Yeah, a bit better. This is a bit too much. Yeah, that is nice. Okay. And now we're going to put some text. So pretty much I'm going to say like the name of the app. I'm not going to, yeah, so just AR cooking will be fine. This is just an example. AR cooking. Awesome. All right. So again, if I want to move this, I can just like move it freely. There are several options now. So if I move this, so if I grab it and just press this button here, I'm locking the rotation, so I can, you know, like put it like that. Nevertheless, I don't usually use that feature because I find this one more convenient. So pretty much you select it, and the same thing, you snap it to another surface. Ooh, whoop. And again, it's the same workflow. You always use something like this. Yeah, this is pretty much what I usually do. And it works pretty well. Yeah, so essentially whenever you want to work on a surface, you can either create a little surface to serve as a base. So something like that. And now you do this. Whoop. And then you get rid of the surface. This is usually what I do, and it usually works very well. Or you just use an existing surface, pretty much. So yeah, let's change the color of that to something a bit nicer. What? Okay. 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 So air cooking. Bam. So imagine that I want to put this here, and I want to use the same thing that I said before. So I want to snap it to that surface. As you can see, I have this very weird bounding box, and this is not the bounding box that I want, because if I try to actually snap it to the surface, it's the bounding box what's gonna snap, and this is definitely not what I want. So in order to correct that bounding box, you have this tool here. It's actually pretty easy to use, but you have to get used to it. So pretty much with this tool, you just grab it. And with this tool, you can specify which rotation you want to use. As you can see, I want to use the whatever rotation that thing has. And the box automatically aligned to it. But what I usually do is I use an object, one of the objects that I'm actually grabbing, because I want to align these two objects to this object. So yeah, let's go. If I hit there, now I'm getting the rotation of the cooking word, and actually this is can you see the bounding box is now correct. So I can now go ahead and do this. That's okay. And now let's move it a little bit. Same with this guy. And that is a pretty decent logo for a demo. That's all right. Okay, so because we're going to use the logo in many places, we're going to just like select it all and group it. And every time that I try to group something, I usually just, because again, same thing, right? If I'm trying to snap it to any surface, the bounding box is usually wrong. And if I want to fix that, I just grab this, select one of the objects that I'm holding, and here we go. So it is okay. Now actually I'm going to, in the cooking. So now I can snap it to any surface and it will work as intended. I don't know, it's pretty good. Also, now this orientation is saved, as you can see here, because it is saved on the group itself. So that's it. So when you open the app, you're gonna get this and maybe a message saying like, pick your starting surface. Whoop. Here we go. Okay. Oh, actually, I made a mistake there. Your your starting surface. Awesome. Let's put it in white. And now, here we go. So this is going to be my starting screen. And now the user probably will have to just like pick a surface. So it's going to be just like a square or something when I expect the user to be cooking and, you know, preparing all the ingredients and all that stuff. So it's going to be here in the demo. All right. So I created this. Yeah. This is a PNG that I created in Photoshop. And I'm going to use it as whatever defines our surface. It's going to be something like this. And the user will have to define that area. Also, I'm going to create a little square right there. Boom. That's all right. That's nice. Actually, I'm going to a bit of a radius border size. What do you guys think? This is too much, but this is okay. All right. So this is going to be our area. I don't know if I want. So let me change the material of this thing. So let's go for an elite, transparent elite. And let's add the material to this thing. Okay. Let's change the color into something a bit more transparent. Bam, bam. That is pretty good. Um, Another thing we could do, actually, is that a little bit, just to add a bit of depth. One of the most important parts of designing in 3D is to actually make things to feel like a 3D thing. So I usually recommend doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, or maybe you could try like black or something. Nah, let's go white. Okay. That's fine. All right. So this is our starting point, and this is going to be here. Actually, for this, I'm going to change the color. Oh, this is too much. Better. Better. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be our start and surface, and let's create the workflow of this. Okay. Oh, actually, no. Before that, let's create like maybe, yeah. Let's create like the login button. In order to create buttons, I usually use this, the procedural assets. So that means that there are like a few already there that are pretty useful. As you can see, you can totally change the parameters of this thing if you want this to be completely square or small, small corners, whatever. Like every single of these objects have a bunch of different values that you can play with. In this case, well, let's use both actually. Okay, a bit more. Okay, so yeah. And now imagine that I want to create like a little label there. It's super simple. So it is pretty much just touch the surface with the text tool and drag, and you're good to go. Or in this case, it's going to be logging, right? Login. Awesome. Okay. Okay. And also let's add a little. That's fine. Okay, let's change the color of that. Actually, let's change the material. Okay. Let's move that to the back. It's not too bad. As you can see, it's kind of always the same. It's all about snapping and then showing the gimbal to fiddle with the position. That's okay. All right, it's not too bad. Actually, let's play with the material of this thing. It's too flat at the moment. So, that's not too bad. A bit better. I like it. Okay. So, actually, let's adjust this a little bit. That. Okay, so you have your first. Yeah, that is pretty good. Actually, one of the things that we could do as well, now I'm here and I'm looking at this, what if I want to move this, you know, my surface? What if I want to move it there before I log in, or maybe even afterwards? So now, because I'm designing in context, I I have that need now. I know that the user will have that need. So yeah, let's add a little handler or something that allow the user to move these around. Okay. So the first thing I usually do, I just like go to the Maquette icon set library and I just browse it to get some inspiration. Yeah, maybe something like this. Say another thing, or maybe that. Look at this. This is beautiful. Something like this will work. Or yeah, like maybe something that you pin or unpin. Yeah, that's about right. So we have these three options. So let's do it. Um, yeah, so because I will have to move this around, I can actually. Yeah, that doesn't look good. It looks like you are actually making it full screen, and that is not our intention. So let's use this one, or maybe even this one. Well, in any case, I'm going to use this one. I like it more. So in any case, let's create a button or something that indicates that, hey, you can actually move this around. So what I usually like is to use just a sphere, so something like this. But one of the coolest thing is that you can actually invert the sphere so you can only see the insides. And now you can, let's grab that color and put it here, bam. And now, look, you have that there. And that thing is actually, you know, an icon you can press. Another thing that I usually do is that. Yeah, so it's not completely rounded. Again, if you want to align it, this is what you do. This is what you always do. So yeah. Yeah, so it's not a perfect sphere. It's more like something you can press there. And this is pretty good. And now the user knows that he could just like hit that and something will happen. We will have to communicate that later, but something will happen. But yeah, this is pretty much a good starting point. So pretty much we are there. We still have a lot of things to do, but I think that this is a good, nice initial video. So yeah, until the next one.